Autistic people of Reddit, what would you like everyone to know? If I'm asking questions that seem dumb even though I seem smart most of the time, just answer them. Sometimes all I need is the context I'm asking for to help me sort things out. So annoying when people think that something is obvious and act all frustrated in these situations. Autistic adults exist. It's not like as soon as we turn 18 we wave our autism goodbye. That autism isn't a one-size-fits-all diagnosis. It's a very broad, non-linear spectrum, more like a color wheel than a straight line. Also, just because you might not think someone looks autistic or you never would have guessed, doesn't mean they aren't. Chances are, those people expend a lot of energy masking their autistic traits to fit in. God, this is what I want people to know. I spend so much time and energy to look normal and I hate it. I wish people like my classmates knew this, that talking and working with them is so hard for that reason. If I mention that I can't tell if you're joking or serious, even if it's blindingly obvious that you were joking, I need you to bear with me when I ask, because sometimes it is so difficult to differentiate between a joke and a serious sentiment. Being autistic does not mean a lack of empathy. We may not express or process our feelings the same way as neurotypical people do, but it does not mean we don't have feelings. You don't look autistic is the worst thing you can say. Like, yeah, I know that you would never guess that I'm autistic without me explicitly telling you that. That still doesn't mean that I'm not. My question is always, how does one look autistic? It's not like we don't function. I understand your emotions. In fact, I understand them so well that my own emotions are influenced by other people's, and other people's emotions can easily overwhelm me. Emotional states of myself and others are easy to read, especially in voice tone and expression. But I don't get your body language at all. Yes, this isn't universal. I just get annoyed at the whole "you're all asocial. You don't understand emotions" when in fact it differs for everyone. I can read other people's emotions easily, but not everyone can. I forget to put emotions on my face sometimes. Some people I know get overwhelmed more by their own. Some can't read expression or tone like I can. Some can read body language where I go blank. We're not one size fits all. That eye contact is a weird, horrible thing and I don't know how you people do it. Oh crap, that one hit hard. Sometimes it just works, but once I'm aware of it, it's complete and utter heck lol. If I seem standoffish to you, it's literally because I have zero social skills and will not approach you to talk if you don't talk to me first. Exactly, I'm still an introvert, but I will be very nice and sociable if I'm not the one initiating conversation. I was diagnosed with Asperger's at the age of 11. I feel like I'm part of a play where everyone has the script except me. I'm sorry, but I can't help but think, wow, that's deep. I totally get what you mean. Just because I'm quiet doesn't mean I'm snooty or aloof and desire to be excluded. I had a reputation for being tough and potentially dangerous for a while in school. For some reason, me being quiet made people think I was dangerous or something. It was kind of hilarious. I was terrified and anxious all the time. I couldn't have taken so much as a wet paper bag in a fight. Opted to mention it because the sheer amount of horrid things that I have seen being aimed at autistic people for infodumping is nasty. We often get special interests in things and enjoy gathering information and talking to others about them. We find someone to talk to about it and everything comes out. Talk your ear off for hours easily, and the details will often be very intricate. We don't mean anything other than being excited about the thing. We don't always catch on that you're not interested in the intricacies of George Carter's relationship with the Chiss ascendancy. Sorry, it's not us trying to show off, to look superior, being elitist, or gatekeeping. We're just excited over something we enjoy. I can pay better attention to what you're saying if I'm not looking at you. So when my gaze wanders and I'm staring at the floor or the walls, or anything but you, I'm listening intently. I just can't focus on looking at you or making eye contact and understand what you are saying at the same time. If I look at you, I won't hear you. If you call me on the phone, I will also not hear you. Phones stress me out. I can pay better attention to what you're saying if I'm not looking at you. Same. Honestly, there are times when I wonder if going blind would make the world less of a sensory nightmare, or at least, make it easier for me to talk smoothly. We are not all like Sheldon Cooper. Sean Murphy, Forrest Gump or other extremely autistic people in movies series. Ugh, Sheldon is like the blackface of autism. When I seem slow to you, it's because I need you to be more specific in what you need from me. My brain is literally unable to play the guessing game. More accurately, it can play the guessing game. It just plays it way too seriously. Please don't be one of those people who assumes autism means we have a high or low mental age. I'll be insulted if you talk to me like I'm 8. I'll be confused if you talk to me like Albert Einstein. Textures and sounds are painful. Sometimes even being touched can hurt. This world is very isolating for many of us. Some are too autistic for the NT world and some aren't autistic enough for the special needs world. No, not everyone is a little autistic. You don't understand why, how, what. Some of us may have flat tones and cannot express emotion, but we do feel. And the autism jokes sometimes make us sad and or angry. Meltdowns and tantrums. In a meltdown you lose all awareness and it can be very dangerous. We tend to notice the weirdest stuff or things in the background. A skill that has served me well in my line of work. I am going to say something that offends you. It's going to happen. And when I do, tell me or I won't have any idea what I did wrong or why you're upset. I might be different, but that doesn't mean I wanna be treated any differently to anyone else. I've had people pull 180s on me and start talking to me in baby talk after me telling them that I'm autistic. I freaking hate it. That not everyone with autism is like Rain Man. We can't all recite from memory what day of the week certain events happened or our sevens. However, we all have different strengths and some of us have intense interests that we know a lot about. We are not a party trick for this either. Sometimes my brain hard locks trying to process sentences out loud, sort of like when you can't remember a word, but for the entire sentence forming apparatus. The analogy I use is when a program goes not responding on your computer, it's not thinking or waiting, it's just stopped and spam clicking on it does nothing. Either have to wait for it to kick back into processing, or restart from scratch. Had a job interview where they asked me a question that I didn't have an answer prepared for, and I spent a very awkward, what felt like 5 minutes, 30 or so seconds of silence where I knew I was supposed to be talking, but my brain was stalled. It's not that I couldn't work out what to say, it's that I couldn't work out how to speak. That Autism Speaks is a hate group. The Autistic Self-Advocacy Network is a better organization to support. Ever heard of autism hiding in plain sight? Next time they want to make one of your stupid autism jokes in class, keep that in mind. Someone is sitting in there, already feel bad about having the diagnosis and being scared what people might think. It doesn't help us, it just makes us shut up even more. We are everywhere, you just doesn't see. Every autistic person is different. Some hate physical contact, some love it, some can't speak, some can. Do not assume we are all the same ever. If I'm looking at your shoes or behind you when I'm talking to you, it means I'm paying attention to what you're saying. I'm not ignoring you. Letting your kid get away with doing bad things when they are young because they are autistic, they don't know any better, isn't healthy. Explain why we can't or shouldn't do things, and still punish for it if it happens repeatedly. Also, don't hide a diagnosis from your kid. They'll know they're different, and knowing why is a lot less stressful. I had to get diagnosed in my mid-20s so that people would finally accept that I have difficulties. I didn't want to get diagnosed, but I felt forced to, just so I could prove once and for all that it's not me choosing to be a difficult person. In the UK the process takes so much time and in the end you can't really be treated anyway, so what's the point when I already know and have accepted it? It's like if you weren't diagnosed as a kid then you're not valid. But only the kids with the most extreme symptoms get diagnosed early, and I guess that's what people think autism looks like. It really doesn't take much to adjust the way you interpret what I'm saying or just to understand I might not be as clear as I want to be. But people will still overreact and misinterpret, despite knowing I have difficulty communicating. Even if I didn't have autism it wouldn't be unreasonable to understand that. But people in general still don't get it, even ones who rave about mental health awareness. It's like autism isn't taken as seriously as depression or anxiety because it's not urgent. It's viewed as a permanent thing that can't be cured, so it's treated like a lost limb. Anxiety and depression are easier to understand I guess and are somewhat curable with treatment in time. Whereas autism is a bottom line disability, so there's no point trying. I don't really get it, but that seems to be the attitude of a lot of people who I thought would be more understanding of mental health. Might just be me being around bad people, but my entire experience at school and university in the UK has made me feel like this is just how society is. High functioning autism in women displays very differently than in men, which leads to men or women being underdiagnosed or misdiagnosed, often with bipolar or BDP. It is believed that due to social expectations on girls from a young age, that high functioning autistic females learn to mask and hide the things that make them stand out better than boys, which leads to women who seem fairly normal if not a little quirky, but are trying really freaking hard all the time to keep up this appearance. It is absolutely exhausting, and people are far less understanding when you have a meltdown because you seem so normal. Contrary to popular belief, we're not psychopaths. That crap's been debunked years ago. The fact that we oftentimes don't know what to do with that information doesn't mean we don't have empathy. We mean well, but sometimes we say the wrong things and make everything worse. And I've got a relevant story. There's a guy at work whom I find attractive and enjoy talking to. We get along fantastically. He's married with kids, so I'd never hit on him or try to start anything. I keep it strictly platonic. About 2 weeks ago, his regular tool partner was absent, so I got partnered up with him for the first time in the 5 months I've known him. The first day we worked together, everything was great. We spent pretty much the whole day joking around, being smartasses to each other and having fun. The second day, I stepped on his knee pad. We work outside all day, and when he got irritated with me, I sassed him and was a smart butt because I literally didn't realize that he was actually getting mad. Looking back, I was being a gigantic douche, but at the time I legitimately thought he was joking, and it wasn't until morning break that I realized he was mad at me. I tried to apologize, but I said the wrong things and ultimately shot myself in the foot, so I awkwardly worked in silence until lunch and didn't say a word to him unless he specifically asked me something. After lunch he seemed to lighten up a bit. He offered me a red Starburst, and when we went into our prefab area and saw clothes on the table, he asked me if I thought 2 of our colleagues were banging each other in the shitters. Normally I would have laughed and made some vulgar comments, but I was too baffled as to why he was making conversation with me. I was confused beyond belief. I simply couldn't understand why this guy who was mad at me would make a joke and try to have a conversation. So I just shrugged and said I didn't know. Was he still mad at me or not? I genuinely couldn't tell, and I didn't want to ask, so I stayed quiet for the most part. The next day his regular tool partner came back and I got paired with someone else. This was a little over 2 weeks ago, and I've been going out of my way to avoid him ever since, because I'm worried that I fricked up big time and that things between us will never go back to the way things were. The joke means he's not mad anymore. All is forgotten by him and you're okay. All good now. No need to avoid him. People who have bullied me in the past bullied me because I'm different, and they made me hate who I truly was. As I got older, I learned to love myself and learned to embrace my flaws. If we tell you we find something is offensive, puzzle piece logo, autism $ peaks, light it up blue, etc., believe us. Don't argue with us that we are wrong and it makes people's lives easier, or whatever crappy excuse you want to use to ignore us. Some more examples of this is people first language, autistic person versus person with autism. Some of us like one way and not the other, but no one else gets the right to tell someone they are identifying incorrectly. Functioning labels, as well. High and low functioning are commonly used, but that can be really hurtful language. Instead, high and low support needs a preferred language for most of us. The reason for that is you never really know how well someone else is functioning. They may appear to be doing really well, but they may be doing therapies once a day and have a support team that takes the burden off of them at home, like me. So when you see them shopping unassisted and doing okay, it doesn't mean they can function perfectly everywhere else. Honestly, this one is what gets me the most. What do you mean you can't do this labor-intensive favor for me? You were fine yesterday when I saw you, yes, and now I need to recover or risk a meltdown. Oh, and I'm a chronic over-explainer. I have 1,000-yard stare. If you feel like I'm staring at you, I'm either not, or I'm trying to cudgel my brain into coming up with something nice to say to you. Please don't treat me like I'm a creeper or a stalker because it's hard enough to form anything approaching human attachments, and you yelling at me to stop staring is a blow to my self-esteem. I am not autistic, but the man I love is. I want anyone neurotypical to know that being in a relationship with a person on the spectrum requires a lot of patience and adaptation, but it is so totally worth the effort. People on the spectrum are not emotionless robots, but in fact feel things very deeply. They just don't express it or show it in traditional ways. I would like people to know that people with autism are very capable of being in relationships and shouldn't be written off as undateable just because of their disorder. Not everyone with Asperger's syndrome is out to be a jerk, and our interests or hobbies do not define our personality as people. More so, I struggle with my emotions just like everyone else, and it is not like I am not able to feel empathy. We can either not express our emotions well, or we are extremely sensitive to emotions. Autistic is not a good way to describe a stupid person. It pisses me off when I'm watching a stream and the streamer someone else calls someone autistic when they die, even if they were, it's not their fault. Also, autistic people aren't stupid or dumb, they just think differently to other people. If I say don't touch me, don't freaking touch me. I don't care if it's rude. I don't care if your feelings are hurt. If I say don't touch me, it's because I'm already panicking, and physical contact is likely to be highly painful and may even cause me to completely shut down. I'm 27. Don't treat me like I'm 10. Don't compare me with your 6-year-old autistic nephew just because I have an art degree and he likes coloring books. No, I did not ask for a fast pass to Disneyland because of my disability. Yes, I'm supposed to do it this way because the boss told me to do it that way. Yes, someone put that in the wrong place. No, it wasn't me. Stop interrupting me when I'm talking to customers. I know more about this than you do. I'm very high functioning. No one knew or noticed I had Asperger's. I told you in passing, and that changed the way you treated me for the rest of our working relationship. Just because I'm quiet and don't say a whole lot doesn't mean I'm stupid. It means I don't have anything meaningful to add to the conversation. Let me explain to you in full detail. I'm not sure if other people experience the same thing, but I'm not kidding when I say I have a lot of sensory issues. I get extremely nauseous from smells that most people wouldn't bat an eye at. If I'm somewhere loud, I can't filter out the sound of whoever is talking to me from everything else. I normally can't go anywhere without sunglasses because even when I'm indoors sometimes it gets to be too much. If I'm not having a good time due to overstimulation, I can become nonverbal, or at least close to it. The world is not kind to people with sensory issues. So if you see an autistic person wearing headphones all the time or wearing sunglasses indoors or stimming for comfort, please just let them be. Don't tell us that everyone is a bit autistic. It's belittling and ridiculous. We don't freaking get autism from vaccines. Autism is not a freaking disease. If you could get autism from vaccines, it would be contagious. What people don't understand is that you don't get autism like a flu or something. Don't use autism as a slur or derogatory term. It is honestly incredibly hurtful to hear, especially because it spreads the misinformation that autistic and retarded are the same, which simply they aren't. Girls can be on the spectrum too, and milk doesn't cause autism. PETA, go back to your euthanasia caves. You have been visited by the romantic doggo. Comment love is magic so you never fall in the friend zone. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day, you magnificent people.